Hello again, beautiful artists, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Skye, and I post beginning level acrylic tutorials here on YouTube every Saturday. So hit subscribe if you'd like to join the fun and paint along. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. So we have a really fun and whimsical gingerbread house in a sort of fantasy landscape today. And I'm going to be using my 3 standard brushes. So my large square brush, I have this round pointed medium-sized brush here, and then also a tiny detail brush. Go ahead and take those 3 brushes and get them in your water cup. So the colors that I have on my palette here, I have purple, a phthalo green, which is going to be that lovely minty color, and then a bright cobalt blue and white. These are just the colors that I'm going to be doing the background with, so we're going to do this painting in 2 steps, like many of my paintings are done. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to start with the sky here and kind of work our way down from the top part to the bottom, where we're going to have a very tiny little minty hill for our house to sit upon. So let's go ahead and start with our big square brush. Okay, 1-inch square brush here. Check the description box below to see a full list of all the different materials that I use. There's a link to a materials page on my website, which is skyepratt.com, by the way, for anyone that can't get into the description section if you're watching on your phone. So that's skyepratt.com. Okay, and I'm gonna take a little bit of white, and I'm gonna mix in just a little pinch of my beautiful blue. And I'm going to start in the corners here, getting that brush moving, going all around in all sorts of different directions, and using a fair amount of white here to create a nice blue but cloudy, perhaps some snow clouds in the sky type sky here. Okay, and even though our canvas is white, we do want to get some white paint on there. And just for fun, I'm going to add a pinch of purple as well into the sky. Let's go ahead and just bring that over here. Ooh, really pretty different color variations that I'm getting there just by not over mixing the colors. And I got a wobbly canvas today, so I'm holding on for dear life. And just getting those colors blended together in a very soft, pretty background. Adding a little bit more blue kind of in the center here, but I don't really want to get too dark with any of my colors. I want it to be very light and pastel and just sort of fun and fantasy. Bring a little bit of purple over there, very subtle. A little bit more blue, and you get to create your sky however you like. Okay, bringing that almost all the way down to the bottom of the canvas. Just a little bit of color, mostly white. Okay. And then pretty light again at the bottom. So really just created a very soft fantasy sky here. Brought it all the way down. And I'm gonna go ahead and retire that brush. And I'm going to grab my medium-sized pointed brush. And I'm gonna take a little bit of my favorite frosty minty green and mix it with some white. And I don't want to go too high up with this hill, because if you go too high up, you won't have enough space to create your house. So this is just the very, very bottom here. And you're just going to create a little hill for your gingerbread house to sit upon, just to give us a little sense of space. And then we're going to just go ahead and fill that in with the bluish green here. Gorgeous teal, minty, wintergreen. Lovely. This is my favorite color. Let me know what your favorite color is in the comments section. Okay, Bring that all the way into my sky. There might be some areas where you need to kind of take the sky down a little bit. I just use my finger there. Okay, now I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this green and I'm gonna go right at the top part here and just create a little bit of interest here and a little bit of depth by darkening the background a little bit and then having it be a little bit lighter in the foreground. Just a little bit of differentiation there. But we're not going to work on that too hard because we're going to add snow and a whole bunch of other good stuff in the second part. So let's go ahead and let this layer dry and I will see everybody in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back, artists. I have a dry background, fresh, clean water, and also fresh colors. So I have a fair amount of orange. I'm going to use that to mix my gingerbread brown color. And then I have red, yellow, again, that same cobalt blue, the phthalo green again, and then also black and white. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our smallest brush. And we're going to do a little bit of sketching here actually with white. So before we get to color mixing and filling stuff in, I want to do just a little bit of kind of almost like a sketch. So I'm going to use my tiny brush for that. And you're going to have to decide now what sort of gingerbread house you would like to build. Since I am a big fan of the A-frame cabin design, I thought it would be adorable to do an A-frame gingerbread house today. So this is also perhaps just a quaint fantasy house. I just thought it would be cute. So in honor of that, I'm going to do pretty much just a triangle here from the top down on either side. And this is going to be kind of faint, and that's the idea, so that we can kind of adjust our shape as need be. Okay, that looks pretty good to me, so pretty large. Now I'm going to block out where I'm going to have the door, which is going to be a cookie door, like so. Again, adjusting the shape. And then I'm going to have a little round candy window. And I'm going to have some lollipops that are maybe like flowers on either side. So I'm going to pretty much be doing just circles. So I'm going to have 3 circles over here. Slightly different heights. Maybe they're like sunflowers in our fantasy land. Big flowers. Okay, like so. Super cute. Got our basic shape there. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my medium-sized brush and I'm going to create brown. Now keep in mind that brown is sometimes a difficult color to mix, so you can just buy a bottle of brown paint to make things easier for you. But I'm going to mix brown today and challenge myself and also show everyone the steps to mix brown. So the way that you create brown is to go across the color wheel. So my favorite way to do that is to use orange and blue. And that's going to create a pretty reddish brown, which is the kind of brown that we do want for gingerbread. And you can add a little bit of red in there as well. And then I'm going to have a little bit of black as well. That's going to be my gingerbread color. Fairly dark, like a wooden brown. Gingerbread would be, I believe, made with molasses. So I can't eat sugar, so instead of making a gingerbread house, I paint a gingerbread house. It's perfect. Okay, and now we're just going to fill in that main shape, but you're just going to go around the little sketched out shapes that you made for yourself. And this is really just so that it's easier for us at the end here when we want to fill in these little candy shapes. And that way we'll get a really vibrant color. Rather than trying to paint over the brown, it's much easier to paint over the very light blue and purple background. Okay, and now we want to get our color in all of these areas, but then you also want that consistent brush stroke. Remember, I mention this in almost every painting that I teach. So we want our brush strokes to look consistent throughout each area. So in this case, let's do an up and down brush stroke in each of these areas. So we're letting our brush move and fill in each of the areas, but then we're coming back over and we're going to bring all of our brush strokes pointing up and down as best as you can. So in some areas might not be perfect, but the overall effect, we want it to be up and down. Okay, a little bit of water always into the paint to keep it nice and smooth and moving. It's okay if you go into your shapes a little bit on accident. Remember, we're just making it easier for ourselves later to get a really vibrant color in just one coat. But you can always go over areas with acrylic paint, so just keep that in mind. And remember, you can create any kind of house that you'd like with this step-by-step technique, with any kind of paint, really, but we're working, of course, with acrylics today. But you get to create your own little fantasy house. I love to see everyone's houses and what they've chosen. Is it a little cottage? Is it a gingerbread chalet? For me, it's a little A-frame. And maybe that little candy window is a lofted window. I live in a tiny house right now, but it's not an A-frame tiny house. Okay, going around those shapes again. Just filling in everything that's going to be that gingerbread brown color. Just the base color step. Don't worry if it's not looking how you want it to look. We got a lot more different details to add to this little house. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then once I get that all filled in, nice how I like, I'm going to actually let that dry for a bit. We're gonna create some trees. Okay, so I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm going to leave that sort of strange looking shape alone for now. We got that base brown color on there, so I'm gonna let it dry and build around it now. So I'm gonna take my dark green. I'm gonna mix a little bit of black into it and a little bit of white just to tone it down a smidge. Get that loaded up onto my brush, and then right behind our little house, we're gonna create some trees. Now your trees could be in front of your house as well. I'm gonna do kind of smallish trees that are maybe behind my fantasy house, because you gotta have a fire-safe barrier when you're living in the forest. So I've put maybe too much thought into this tiny A-frame cabin in the woods, eh? Might be a dream of mine. Painting is a good way to manifest stuff that you dream about as well. You can more fully understand it and create your little world. I might have a little A-frame house cabin pop up in future paintings too, we'll see. Okay, and then bringing that nice straight line up at the top here helps create that pine tree shape. That looks pretty good. You can create as many trees as you like, but I'm gonna go with one on either side And then I think one little small one on the left side too. So you want to take that brush stroke, just flick it out gently and gracefully. I like to have the trees come up from over the hill here. But they wouldn't just go from side to side. You'd also have brush strokes that kind of come straight down because you'd be looking at some. Okay, and again, bringing that up to a little point, and then I'm gonna do a smaller one too. And I've kind of gone along the slight curved angle of my horizon here. That kind of adds to the whimsical feel, I think. Okay, so I got two little trees on one side and one on the other. And I'm a fan of asymmetry, so we're gonna go with that. Okay, and now we're also gonna leave those alone because we're going to add some snow onto those in a minute. But let's go ahead and fill in our doorway now. And you can make your doorway whatever color you like. I'm going to make a cookie doorway made out of light blue. This is like a frosted sugar cookie with this light blue color. Bringing that all the way to the brown, getting it all filled in, one solid shape, not looking like a piece of Swiss cheese. Okay. And we want to, again, have consistent brush strokes in here. So we're working quickly because we're working with acrylic paints, which dry quickly. So you really got to make sure that you go in there real quick and get those brush strokes consistent. Okay, I'm gonna do sort of like whimsical colors for my lollipops here. So I'm gonna use pink for one. This is where you can really have some fun and create some different colors if you'd like. Whatever colors you like. And we're just getting those filled in and trying our best not to blend it in with the brown. Might happen a little bit. If that does happen, just make sure and wipe off your brush frequently on your paper towels. Just keeping that brush clean. Okay, and then the other side, I'm gonna have kind of the decoration on the house be asymmetrical, or symmetrical rather. Okay, bringing that out as best as I can to meet the brown. I'm gonna rinse my brush in between colors very well. And I'm going to make a light green, which I'm going to actually add a little bit of yellow into my phthalo green to cancel out the sort of blue tone and create a little bit more of a grass green so that it's different. And you can have this be whatever colors you want, again, for your lollipops, whatever you like. Or maybe these are M&Ms. You can decorate your little candy house just like you would your own little candy house. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do yellow for these last lollipops. I'm adding a little bit of white into my yellow so that it's more opaque. And just getting that filled in and as circular as we can. Nice, vibrant yellow. Okay. Perfect, so cute. Okay, rinsing my brush again very well and using some of this white that I have left before it gets too dirty to fill this circle in here. I might need some fresh white once we do snow, since we are going to be doing so many different colors here and using the white in many ways because we're doing a lot of pastel today. Okay, now let's work back here in our ground and on our trees again for just a minute before we work back on the house again. So I'm going to take a little bit of white with my tiny brush. I'm going to add some snow to my trees, and it's okay if it blends a little bit, but you do want some nice clean white because that's snow. And remember, we're going out in two directions, but we're also kind of bringing it straight up and down. Okay, adding snow on every little tree in very tiny little flicks of the wrist, like so. Two different sides and down. Okay, not too much, just a little bit. Okay, I got myself some fresh white because I knew I'm gonna need it. Now, working still with that small brush, let's also add some snow to the front part of our house here. So I'm gonna kind of have it right along the edge of the hill, like so, going all the way up to the house and over to the trees. Nice thick white line. And then I'm going to kind of drag my brush in that sort of curved direction and create some snow, but make it so that we can see a little peekaboo of our minty green stone. Okay, looks great. Okay, now I'm actually going to add some lights, some Christmas lights to the top part of my gingerbread house. That would be perhaps gumdrops. So gumdrop Christmas lights coming up, and I'm going to also create those with white. Now be mindful that you don't create them all with a light green after dragging them through your trees. That's something that's easy to do on accident, but we want to sketch this out with white. And we're just creating little curves, little half circle gumdrops, which are gonna be like those really fun vintage glass bulbs that my grandparents used to always decorate their house with that I just loved. Okay, very cute. Really adding to the whimsical feel already. Kind of a juxtaposition of a landscape and totally, you know, fantasy edible food house. This is a gingerbread house in its natural environment. Okay, and bringing that again, being mindful that we are going to have kind of one that overlaps there and you might not be fully dry, so be careful of that. Let's go ahead and fill those in with colors now as well. So I'm going to do the color combo that is green, blue, yellow, orange, and it's going to go in that pattern all the way across my colors here. You can have whatever colors that you like. You could totally do these colors, but I thought it would be fun to have the really vintagey looking bulb type colors. Put a lot of thought into this, you guys. So green first. It's gonna go green, blue, orange, yellow. So you could switch between each one. But I'm going to just go through and do all of one color and then go and do the next color, etc. So I'm gonna leave 1, 2, 3 in between here, and then I'm gonna have the fourth color. So I have blue, yellow, orange, green. Okay, and just filling that in. Blue, yellow, orange, green. Blue, yellow, orange, green. Etc. Blue, yellow, orange, green. Sometimes these are hard for me, patterns. And I mess them up. Be careful. You gotta count twice, paint once. Blue, yellow, orange, green. Blue, yellow, orange, green. Okay, and then we'll go off the side of the house there. Okay, next I'm going to use blue. And we'll get a little bit easier as you fill in each color to see what needs to go where. This is rather lengthy for, I think, kind of how simple the painting looks. It's kind of deceiving in that sense, and I kind of feel the same way about gingerbread houses. If anyone has experience with creating those, it's like, oh sure, and then you get into it and it takes you like a long time. Well, maybe it does for me because I'm like, I want to have the vintage gumdrop lights like my grandparents, and I'm gonna build an A-frame. You know, perhaps I put a little bit more thought into it than the average person. But for the most part, I don't know, perhaps I have very creative friends as well, so we would always, it would be serious business when it was time to make these little model houses out of food. And they're sometimes kind of hard to do. Okay, looking good. And then yellow and orange for our warm colors here. I'm gonna have a little bit of green in that yellow, and I don't want that, so we're doing a lot of color mixing today. Okay, and yellow here. Lots of different whimsical colors, very Candyland feel. Oh, I also want to mention, if you are painting along today, or if you're painting along on any class, I've created a place where we can share our art, which is called the Art Club, and it's a Facebook group. So check the description box below to join that and to join us over there. We would love to have you and see your paintings, whether it be from painting along with me on Saturdays, or just from your own studio. Would love to have you. I think we have almost 500 over in the club. And it's been a really wonderfully supportive place for artists at any point of their journey to grow and develop their skills, get some support. Very positive place. So thank you for anyone watching along that is in the club as well. This has been a very wonderful project and having a lot of fun with everybody. Okay, now orange for my last color, getting this all filled in. And then we're going to add a whole bunch of details here with black and white here in a minute. It's really going to finish off the painting and make everything just look really cute. Okay, so just getting all of our main colors here. And then we're gonna add the finishing touches. Okay, not being too particular. Adding a little bit of a messy, whimsical feel is totally fine. Okay, that looks so cute. All right. And now inside of my peppermint, I'm going to add my red swirls. So I'm going to use the same brush, but I cleaned it. And just from the center here, you're going to do a little curved brush stroke. And then that's going to kind of curve out the same angle all the way around your circle. Okay, doesn't matter how many spirals you get. And then you're going to thicken the bottom part of each of those spirals so that you end up with a sort of triangular shape. Like so. It's okay if it blends a little bit with the white. Kind of using the opportunity of filling them in and thickening them to also sort of better space them, so that they're somewhat even little pie slices there. So cute, oh my gosh. Love it. Okay, oh, so cute. All right, now we're gonna start doing some of our final details. So let's go ahead and clean our brush. And now I'm gonna take some black and I'm going to work kind of from the background to the foreground again. Now, if you dip a little bit of water into your paint here and kind of mix it up, it'll come to a nice smooth consistency. And if you roll your brush in the paint like that, really get your hand moving. It's great to develop a dexterity and then also to make your brush come to a point. So we're gonna add a little bit of black here in the back of these trees, just kind of for shadow and just kind of make the trees look fun and consistent and sort of illustratory, like the foreground is gonna look. So I've gotta match our background to our foreground here, in my opinion. Okay, little tiny hash marks, very similar to the white, but kind of in the alternate spaces there. And then let's go ahead and just create a nice line of definition right where the snow meets the house. Okay, very, very, very cute. All right, and then on our door here, we are gonna have an outline around the outside edge. And you can make your door however you like. So you can have like one handle, or it can have a straight down line will make it look like a bigger door. I think I'm gonna go with a small door, like a tiny house. I'm just gonna have like one little door handle right there. Super cute. And now still with black, I'm gonna have straight up and down lines here for my lollipops, and also around each of my circular lollipop shapes. Being very, very gentle, since these are pretty tiny shapes. And you don't want too thick of a black line. So very, very light texture. Just along the outside edge, and then in the middle, you're gonna have a little spiral. And that really makes the shape adorable. Very, very gentle here. Practice a few spirals on the side, maybe on a paper towel or a piece of paper if you're feeling nervous. And remember, you can bring more of the color back in too if you feel like you messed up. Also, when you're working with black, if you went a little bit too dark, you can also grab a Q-tip and sometimes pull up some of the paint, and then that will help you cover it up with whatever color is underneath, if need be. Okay, but being very, very gentle, just going around those circular shapes, and then adding a spiral ever so gently. Very cute. Doesn't matter which way your spiral comes from or which way it's facing, in my opinion. It's all very cute. Okay. And then little straight up and down lines over here as well. Very cute. Little lollipop flowers. Adorable. Okay, now before we work our way further up with that black, I'm actually gonna switch really quick and do a little bit of white. So on my door, grabbing a little bit of white here, I'm gonna do, just to make it look like a cookie, like a little flourish, I suppose you would say. Little up and down motion here and create a little frame. Very subtle little decorative element, but I think really makes it. Inside of each of my little spirals, I'm gonna add just the tiniest bit of white as well. Very tiny details, but that makes it look shiny, like a lollipop would be. Okay, a little bit. It's easy to cover too much of the under color, so make sure to be very light-handed with this step and add a little bit more pink or blue or yellow if you need to. Okay, super cute. Now I'm actually going to add a little bit of snow kind of at the base of these guys as well, because the snow would also be kind of piled up near the house, like so. Very nice. Okay, and then I'm also going to take that white and I'm going to add kind of like a frosted icicle snow feel here to the top part of my brown. It's important that the brown be dry when you add this step. So that's why we kind of worked on some other areas first, rather than doing like a normal top-down type of painting. So it was all strategic. And you want to have a couple of these look like they're actually having icicles that are coming down. So that's icicles made with frosting. You want to kind of have it be like blobby rather than perfectly triangular. So if you've ever tried to frost a gingerbread house together, then you know exactly what this step would look like. It's a little bit messy. And then that also looks like snow. More fantasy snow paintings, and it is like 58 degrees today. And nice and sunny, and certainly not any snow in the forecast anytime soon for us here. Okay, that looks really good. Yes, I've been actually able to enjoy the beach most days still, even in the winter here, which has been great. Okay, bringing the snow down just on either side. Last few details. We are actually kind of coming already to the end of the class, just the home stretch here. And these few little details really make a difference. I think my house is looking very cute. Sometimes you can feel like maybe you didn't add enough decoration, so we can be tempted to add even more, but I encourage you to fill in just a few simple shapes first, and then kind of assess your space, because you can always add, you know, an extra candy or gumdrop here and there. Okay, almost done with my snow. That looks pretty good to me. Okay. And now I'm going to take my black up in that top area again, and I'm going to do two things, or three things, I suppose. So a little bit of black on that brush. I'm going to first outline my peppermint with a pretty thick black line. So this is a window in my imagination, so it's a little bit bigger than the Lollipops would be. Okay, very nice. Nice kind of focal point there, I think, of the painting. I really want to add a little bit more white just right here really quick. Don't mind me. There we go. Maybe a little bit more over here too. Sometimes you kind of see things in your painting that may need tending to, that don't follow along with the steps, and that's always fine. Okay, and again with the black, I'm going to come in here and go right underneath and create kind of a shadow of where I just took my white. Being very gentle here. Just a little bit. You actually don't even really need this stuff if you don't want, but I like the consistency of having every area kind of be addressed by that little bit of black shadow. Very much like an illustration, but we're doing whimsical today, so I think it looks best. Okay, and then kind of re-outlining also the gumdrops here on the outside. And then we're going to add a little shine to those gumdrops. We are pretty much done. Oh, and a little bit of snow flurry too, because why not? Very cute. I can't wait to see everyone's different shapes. I really encourage you to really create whatever shape house you'd like. Again, it doesn't have to be the A-frame shape that I've done, but I think it did turn out very cute. Okay. Making sure that shadow is all the way around that last one. I'm running into my tree a little bit. Okay. And then a little bit of white. Again, back and forth with the white a lot in this painting. All the little details. And just a little shine mark on each of these gumdrops. I think really adds a nice little finishing touch. And also kind of makes them feel more like they're lights. Okay, so cute. Maybe they're a little bit of snow, we don't know. Going back over with white if anything got a little too muddy. A little too colorful. Okay, all the way down. Right, and then I'm going to take the back of my brush and I'm going to add a little bit of snow just here and there, because 'tis the season and why not? Just kind of in the top part here where you can see it easily. And a little bit through the bottom parts as well. Just a few maybe here and there in front of the house and all the way down. Okay, and there we have our adorable little gingerbread cottage. So let me know what you thought of today's painting in the comment section below. I would love to see you over in the art club, and that is all the instruction that I have for everyone today. So until next time, stay creative.